pivot table. The pivot table is another formula in Excel that lets you or helps you make your worksheet more manageable by summarizing data and allowing you to manipulate it in different ways. So different from the lookup, we have here an example. So step by step, select the table or cell, including the headers if you want to include. And then next, you would want to insert the tab. From the insert tab, you can see yung pivot table, the dialog box. And then click OK. And then third, create the pivot table. So yung pivot table, it will select a table range, table 1 as our source, and then place the pivot table in a new worksheet. Yan. Mas magandang i-place siya sa new worksheet para hindi siya magulo. Or you can also use existing worksheet, but in our case, we'll use a new worksheet. And then next po. Yan. So a blank pivot table field list will appear in a new worksheet. Yan. So yung magiging itsura niya. And then, once you create the pivot table, you'll need to decide which fields to add. And so you can select salesperson, region, account, order, amount, and month. So in the example shown, salesperson and order amount were selected. And then next po. And next po, ma'am. And then yung selected fields will be added to one of the 4 areas below. So yung salesperson, na-add siya sa rows, and then sum of order, it was added in the value. Yan, so you can also drag and drop the fields directly onto the desired area. And then, moving on, the pivot table will calculate and summarize yung selected fields. Yan, so in the example, yung amount sold by each person. Yeah. Just like yung sa pivot table, if you change any of the data in your source worksheet, yan, next po, ma'am. Next po. Sure. Yan. If you change any of the data in your source worksheet, the pivot table will not update automatically. So to manually update it, select the pivot table and then go to Analyze, then Refresh. So just like with normal spreadsheets, you can sort the data in a pivot table using the Sort and Filter command on the Home tab. You can also apply any type of number formatting you want. Yan. So for example, you want to change the number format to currency. Yan. Magiging ganyan siya. Yan. So under the pivot tab, follow what was discussed, and then we'll see yung result. So if any one of you who can edit or do the activity, please do so po. Sorry, medyo nagkamali yung labeling dito sa tabs. So I'll just present na lang po yung sa dito sa pivot table. Yan, so dun po sa it was challenge 6 or pivot, but we'll use the reference yung sa first quarter sales C7 reference. Yan. Medyo nakagulo-gulo yung sa natin. Yung sa labeling ng tabs. Yan, so dito po, no, for the challenge 7, ito na ano na siya, na automatic. There's a missing instruction. So ito po, from this one, from the reference here, we made a pivot table, checking only the sum of order amount and this one. And then, for a while lang po, medyo nagkamali tayo sa mga references. Yan, so ito na talaga final na. And sorry for the delay. So for the challenge 6, dito pala sa first quarter sales. For the first quarter sales tab sa baba, next to VLOOKUP. Yan. Nakikita po ba sa shared screen? You can also follow dun sa sa dito sa shared Google spreadsheet. So in number 1, create a pivot table in a separate sheet. Yan. We want to answer the question, what is the total amount sold in each region? So to do this, select region and order amount. When you're finished, your workbook should look like this. Yan. So following the instruction, insert a pivot table, yan, from table and range. And then, to new worksheet, I forgot to highlight. Yan, so pivot table, let's move to new worksheet. And it said here to select only the region and the order amount. So the region and the order amount. So when you're done, it should look like this. Yan, so moving on. In the rows area, so it should look like this, no? So in the rows area, remove the region and replace it with salesperson. So ito, remove this one, you replace it with the salesperson. Some more options. I know. We click the field dito, remove region and replace it with salesperson. So yan na. Yun na yung itsura niya ngayon. And then, add month to the columns area. Add month, yan. Ito, so we can drag and drop ito manually yan sa columns. So yan na yung pinalabasan. And then, So our next instruction, change the number format of cells B5 to currency note. Then you might want to make column C and D wider to see the values. So following the instruction, we change the number format of this into a currency. So, nandito siya sa format. Yan. And then currency. And then it will automatically yan. Adjust or ano. And then, when you're finished, your workbook should look like this. Yan. It should look like this. So, based on the presentation, or we write, yan. So, tama naman tayo, guys, no? Mga mag-answer. That's about pivot chart po, no? Pivot table, I mean. And so, do you have any questions po? Do you have any questions po so far? So, there is none po. Let's move on to another formula. So we have here filter. Filters. So sometimes you may want to focus in a certain section in your data. Filters are used to narrow down the data in your pivot table or in your table mismo. So you can view the only the information that you need. Based from our example here, step by step, drag a field from the field list to the filters area. In this example, we'll use the sales person. And then, moving on, the filter will appear above the pivot table, and then click the drop down arrow, then check the box next to the select multiple items. And so, i-filter niya according to your needs, according to the data that you're looking for. And then, you can uncheck the box next to any item you don't want to include in the pivot table. So in our example, uncheck sila Brennan, Dumlao, Thompson. Yan. Then click OK if you're satisfied. And then the pivot table will adjust to reflect the changes. Yan. That's about wrong. This is wrong. So yung filters yan. So yung filters niya na-adjust according to the changes. And then moving on, we also have here yung slicer. So it's basically just filters but are easier and faster to use, allowing you to instantly pivot your data. Slicers make filtering data in pivot tables even easier, no? So if you frequently filter your pivot tables, you may want to consider using slicers instead of filters. Yan. So to add a slicer, select any cell in the pivot table, and then from the Analyze tab, insert yung slicer command. And then a dialog box will appear. And then you check the box next to the desired field. So in our example, we'll select the salesperson. And then click OK. And then the slicer will appear, yan, yung blue na to, dito sa gilid. Next to the pivot table, each selected item will be highlighted. So yung mga naka-blue, yun yung mga selected items. And then, only, just like filters, only the selected items are used in the pivot table. Yan, so the pivot table will instantly reflect the change. So you can explore, you can explore by selecting different items to see how they affect the pivot table. Yan, so moving on po, pivot charts. So pivot charts are like regular charts, except they display data from a pivot table. So yung chart na dinidisplay ng pivot charts is from a pivot, yung pivot chart na dinidisplay is from a pivot table. Yan. Of course, just like regular charts, you'll be able to select a chart type, layout, style that will best represent the data. So, same concept lang po dito sa charts na you can select any design or style that you want. Yan, so same process po in selecting a chart, but the difference is dito tayo sa pivot chart na mamili. And then, yan, so select your desired charts, the type and layout, then click OK po, yan. So 3, the pivot chart will appear. And then, challenge 7, we have the activity here. So if we're done with the activity, it should look like this. So let us try po before we have our lunch. Let's see this one. From our example here, challenge 7. And so dito po. And so insert the rows area, remove region, and replace it with salesperson. So remove region and replace it with salesperson. Yan. And then we insert a pivot chart and choose the type line with markers. So from here po, from the, you can, dito sa pivot table, dito po, no? We click on the pivot chart and then we insert. It says here na we select the line with the markers. So we find yung line with the markers. Yan, and then we click OK. And then insert a slicer for the region. So from the Inserts tab, we can see yung slicer dito sa taas. And then we select the region. Yan. And then automatic na lalabas dito yung slicer yan. And then use the slicer to only show the south and east. So we select only the south and the east. Sorry. You should multi-select muna and then south and east. Yan. And then change the pivot chart type to stock column. Yan. So under design, click muna natin tong chart under design, we change yung format nung line natin to stock column. Change stock column. We find the stock. Yan. And then in the pivot chart fields, pane to the right, add month to the legend. So add month to the legend. Ito po, pivot chart fields, add month. Drag and drop the month to the legend series. Yan, and then when you're finished, your workbook should look like this. Yan, so you can change yung colors, no, yung palette ng colors nyo. In our example, it used the blue. Yan. Yan, so when you're done, your pivot chart should look like this.